Welcome to Mastering User Experience. Tips and techniques for creating engaging and intuitive interfaces. In this video, we'll explore the world of user experience, UX, and dive into tips and techniques for creating engaging and intuitive interfaces. In this video, we'll explore the world of user experience, UX, and dive into tips and techniques for creating engaging and intuitive interfaces. Whether you're a designer, developer, or just interested in creating better user experiences, this video has something for you. We'll cover the fundamentals of UX design, including understanding user needs and goals, designing for accessibility, and creating intuitive navigation. We'll also explore more advanced topics like designing for mobile devices, conducting user testing, and optimizing for conversions. With practical examples and real-world case studies, this video will give you the knowledge and tools you need to create exceptional user experiences. So sit back, relax, and get ready to master user experience. What is user experience? User experience, or UX, is the overall experience that a user has when interacting with a product or service. It encompasses all aspects of the user's interaction, including visual design, usability, accessibility, and performance. Why is user experience important? User experience is critical to the success of any product or service. A well-designed user experience can increase user satisfaction, loyalty, and engagement. It can also reduce user frustration, errors, and abandonment. In short, a good user experience can make or break a product or service. Understanding user needs and goals. The first step in creating a great user experience is understanding your user's needs and goals. This involves conducting user research, such as surveys, interviews, and usability tests. By understanding your user's needs, you can design a product or service that meets their expectations and delivers a great user experience. Designing for accessibility. Accessibility is another critical aspect of user experience. A product or service should be designed to be accessible to users of all abilities, including those with disabilities. This involves following accessibility guidelines, such as the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, WCAG, and testing the product or service with assistive technologies, such as screen readers. Creating intuitive navigation. Intuitive navigation is another essential component of user experience. Users should be able to easily navigate a product or service and find what they're looking for quickly and easily. This involves designing clear and consistent navigation menus, using familiar icons and labels, and organizing content in a logical and easy-to-understand way. Designing for mobile devices. With the rise of mobile devices, designing for mobile is now more critical than ever. A great mobile user experience involves designing for smaller screens, touch interfaces, and slower connections. This includes using responsive design techniques, optimizing images and videos for mobile, and simplifying the user interface to reduce clutter and improve usability. Conducting user testing. User testing is an essential part of the UX design process. It involves testing a product or service with real users to identify usability issues, gather feedback, and validate design decisions. User testing can be conducted in a variety of ways, such as in-person interviews, remote testing, and A/B testing. Optimizing for conversions. Optimizing for conversions is another critical aspect of user experience. A product or service should be designed to encourage users to take a specific action, such as making a purchase, filling out a form, or signing up for a newsletter. This involves using persuasive design techniques, such as creating a sense of urgency, providing social proof, and simplifying the checkout process. In addition to the essential tips and techniques discussed above, there are many other ways to enhance the user experience. Here are a few more tips and techniques to consider. Use visual design to support the user experience. Visual design plays a crucial role in creating a great user experience. The design should be aesthetically pleasing, but it should also support the user experience by guiding the user's attention and communicating important information. Use color, typography, and imagery to create a consistent visual language and reinforce the product or service's brand. Provide feedback and help. Users should always know what's happening and how to proceed when using a product or service. Providing feedback and help can go a long way in enhancing the user experience. For example, you can provide visual feedback when a user performs an action, such as a button changing color or displaying a loading animation. You can also provide contextual help, such as tooltips or inline instructions. Consider gamification. Gamification is the process of applying game design elements to non-game contexts. It can be a powerful way to engage users and motivate them to take specific actions. For example, you can use points, badges, and leaderboards to encourage users to complete specific tasks or achieve certain goals. Continuously iterate and improve. Creating a great user experience is an ongoing process. Continuously iterating and improving the product or service based on user feedback and data analysis is essential. Use tools such as analytics, user feedback surveys, and A/B testing to identify areas for improvement and make data-driven decisions. Best practices for creating engaging and intuitive interfaces. To create engaging and intuitive interfaces, there are several best practices that you should keep in mind. Keep it simple. Simplicity is key to creating an intuitive user interface. Avoid cluttering the interface with unnecessary features, buttons, or text. Use clear and concise language and minimize the number of steps required to complete a task. Use consistent design. Consistency is important for creating an intuitive user interface. Use consistent visual design elements, such as color, typography, and imagery, to create a coherent and cohesive experience. Consistency also applies to the placement of buttons, menus, and navigation elements, which should be consistent throughout the interface. Provide immediate feedback. Users should always know what's happening and how to proceed when using a product or service. Provide immediate feedback when a user performs an action, such as displaying a loading animation or changing the color of a button. Immediate feedback helps users understand what's happening and reduces frustration. Use familiar patterns and conventions. Users are familiar with certain patterns and conventions when interacting with digital interfaces. For example, they expect the logo to be in the top left corner of the screen, and they expect links to be underlined. Using familiar patterns and conventions helps users navigate the interface more easily and reduces cognitive load. Use clear and descriptive labels. Clear and descriptive labels are essential for creating an intuitive user interface. Use labels that accurately describe the content or action that the user will encounter when clicking a button or link. Avoid using vague or unclear labels, as they can confuse users and make the interface harder to use. Test and iterate. Finally, user testing and iteration are critical to creating an engaging and intuitive user interface. Test the interface with real users to identify usability issues, gather feedback, and validate design decisions. Use the feedback and data gathered from user testing to make improvements and iterate on the design. Conclusion. Creating an engaging and intuitive user experience is a challenging but rewarding endeavor. By following the best practices discussed above, you can create a user interface that meets the needs of your users, is easy to use, and drives business results. Remember to keep it simple, use consistent design, provide immediate feedback, use familiar patterns and conventions, use clear and descriptive labels, and test and iterate. With these best practices in mind, you can create interfaces that users will love and use again and again.